So Resident Evil. So as expected, Resident Evil was a focal point of Capcom's showcase this week, but they made more than just the RE4 remake up. They had more, sorry, than just, I'm like Anchorman here, than the RE4 remake up their sleeves. So first, they announced the gold version, DLC for Resident Evil Village, which contains Shadows of Rose DLC. Takes place after the main story, played in third person. Third person mode for the main campaign, and additional characters for, is this mercenary modes?
Yeah, for
Chris
Mercenaries modes,
Redfield, Heisenberg, and Lady Dimi. Wait, you say this word because you're
Wait, is it actually
Romanian.
Heisenberg? Well, they don't pronounce
Yeah.
it like Romanian pronunciation. in
But
the
how do
game,
you properly
they?
say it, Mike? Lady
Dimitrescu.
Dimitrescu.
Yeah.
So it's coming 28th of October, and
I
then
think.
RE-verse multiplayer title will also begin service on 28th October. Mike, you are the Resident Evil man here.
I
You
am.
excited about these
Well,
updates?
kinda. I mean, third-person campaign. Like, I think I've said on previous episodes that I like that it's switched from third person to first person. So I'm a fan of the new format. But at the same time, it'd be interesting to kind of play it in first person again, in third person again. I don't think I will because I've gone through the campaign. I've done everything you can possibly do in it, I think. But the DLC, on the other hand, could be really interesting. So I'd love to get my hands on this one. It's something about the third person perspective in Shadows of Rose didn't. I don't know. It didn't feel quite right. I don't know why. Just something about the way the character was moving and stuff. But hey, it could just be the way the scenes were. I have no idea. So yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to this. I never actually played the DLC for Village. So one
Resident
day,
Evil 7, you mean?
Resident Evil 7, sorry, for Village. For Resident Evil 7. So I do actually want to go back to that one too and play it. Finished obviously the main campaign and everything. But the problem with all of these games is you play the main campaign, finish it at launch or something, and then they release these DLCs a while later, by
Yeah.
which stage I've moved on, and I'm like, oh, do I need to is it a completely separate thing? Is it at the end of the game? How do I get into it? And I just never bothered getting into it, unfortunately. But I'd be keen. I'd definitely want to see what it looks like, at least in third person. So
Well, it's kind of
Bring it on.
funny because they're also making the VR, like PSVR 2 version of Resident Evil Village. So you're then going to have like
play.
three
Yeah.
specific ways to play the game, like in third person, first person, in a VR mode.
VR would be the best though.
I-
Oh man, it'd
I
be
think
so
I'm going to
good.
hold out now because I'm like, I'd be super like sad if PSVR 2 doesn't have a PC mode. I mean, it's totally might not have a PC mode, right?
possible.
But I probably will get it anyway because I refuse to buy Oculus. I fuck Facebook. I hate Facebook with a passion.
With
So-
with the third person mode, I think that like such a cool thing for them to do. Even if people, not everyone's going to want it. Obviously, you have to pay for it. It's not a free update or anything. But so few games have ever done this. Now you've got like Grand Theft Auto 5 added a first person mode. You know, in like the re-release was it on
Was Skyrim like first person and third person?
yeah,
It's
so
both
that
from the
always had the
start.
ability, but
Oh,
not
did
many
it?
other
Oh,
games
okay.
added later the ability to play the game in a completely different perspective.
Because it changes quite a bit. I mean, the game is designed for a certain perspective that it's not as easy to just change it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
no,
think
it's
about
pretty
they'll probably have to redo certain animations, you know, especially when enemies like grab you
Cutscenes.
and attack you and stuff. So yeah,
Yeah. And also what they announced was next gen versions. So they announced next gen versions for RE7, RE2 Remake, and RE3 Remake, which all feature 4K and ray tracing options, improves frame rate, and 3D audio support, I'm guessing, on the PlayStation Pulse headphones or whatever the headphone setup that you've got going on the PS5. One note, though, any owners of the previous gen versions can get a free update on PS5 and Xbox Series consoles, excluding if you got, I believe it was RE7 through PS Plus, which is kind of interesting. They've done this a few times, but then also rescinded it a few times. They did
Yeah.
this with Final
Fantasy, I
Fantasy
think.
VII Remake, and then they actually changed their mind later down the track, which was really weird.
There is another asterisk to this, and if I'm not mistaken, a few people complained about it. On platforms like Steam, I think, it forces you to the new version. the problem is the system requirements are different.
They
A lot
actually
higher.
changed their mind on that as
Did
well.
they fix that
Yeah,
finally?
they already
Thank
they
God.
already reversed it.
I
Yeah,
mean,
so
for
now it's an
people that
option.
don't have
Now it's an
that
option.
kind of
I know,
system
it's
to play
weird.
it doesn't make sense to force people. It makes sense that it's an option, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it'll kind of make a game almost unplayable.
Well,
in
yeah, for some
ways.
people they couldn't play the
Yeah.
game. So a game that they had bought with their own
Yeah,
system
well, it's
requirements
bricked it.
was pushed out to they couldn't
I
play
need a new
it.
GPU. God damn it, just for this game.
The crazy thing, those games already looked fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did look
So
pretty
the
good,
fact
yeah.
that they're even better now is
But this is what this is like perception of the visual quality of games is really fascinating because I remember when I was playing Grand Theft Auto 5 on the 360 and that game looked phenomenal. I was like, "Oh, I was blown away. This is incredible." And then I got it again on the Xbox One. And I actually played them out of interest back to back. By the time I got the Xbox One, I also had a different TV, so the TV was nicer and whatnot. Holy moly. I totally forgot what the game actually looked like. Like, what's in my brain and what I thought the game used to look like was nothing like what the game used to look like. It looked so much more janky and sort of pixelated, and even the animations didn't feel quite as good because it was kept at 30 and all this other shit. It was a really surreal experience because what I thought I remembered was nothing like what the game actually used to be. And then when I very briefly tried, I didn't do a comparison, unfortunately, between the latest version playing it on Xbox Series X and then going to the previous one because I've also got an Xbox One. And even that felt like slightly janky. So I'd love to see the 360 and see what the experience is like compared to playing the experience all the way up to the Xbox Series X. Because everyone's like, oh, it's the same game. Well, it absolutely is the same game. But the actual experience of the game feels totally different. It's bizarre.
And you know, like that, but it's like it's all relative, right? Because I remember when I first, it was like 1997 when I saw a DVD player for the first time and watched a movie on a DVD player, and I was like, damn, man, this is insane. This is so fucking clear.
Yeah, I remember The Matrix. Oh, I was like, holy shit, this is incredible.
And dude,
when you're going from VHS or TV to that.
Yeah, but dude, like the
Yeah.
resolution of a DVD, generally, like the States, it's like 480p.
It's really
Which is
crap. Yeah.
fucking
By today's
mind-blowing.
standards, It's mind-blowingly
But
bad.
to
yeah.
think, dude, I vividly remember going,
Yeah.
this is like
Same.
the clearest thing you've
Yeah.
ever seen.
But
Yep.
remember,
I
we were
remember
also, many of us were watching those DVDs on CRT TVs.
Oh, 100%. Mostly
So,
CRT in Australia, especially. Flat screen was like early 2000s, mostly in Australia. So, yeah, that was crazy. Although, you know, there are benefits of the CRT, which we won't get into
Yes,
here.
there are. There are benefits of VHS, which I definitely don't want to get into
No,
right
I don't.
now.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I think that's a bit of that's like cassette tapes. I don't.
You
think
could
that's a
write on the
benefit.
side of it. That's about the benefit of a VHS.
Well, okay, fine, whatever.
You could take porn on top of it or something.
Well,
like
that's what
that.
I was saying. Yeah.
Wait, just
just
because we're running so quick. That actually happened where I was watching not the porn bit, but I was watching a movie with my uncle. And it was like a war movie, right? We're just watching it. And then out of nowhere, and this was from like the equivalent of Blockbuster. I think it was like Video Easy for here in Australia. Out of nowhere, it was like this big fat Greek guy at a wedding, like da 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 da, and then it flashed back straight into the war scene. And we were like, and we were kind of like just chilling out, not really paying attention to the movie. And we're like, fuck, what the hell just happened? Rewind it. We kept on rewinding it. It's like, how did this even happen? How did they record over this?
I didn't
like
think you could.
2
but
seconds on a
they're
commercial.
supposed to be protected, but you
There's
can
ways to
unprotect
manipulate
them,
it, but
think,
yeah,
from
I
them,
just couldn't believe it. I was like, that's
break
the
the clip
weirdest
or
thing I've
something.
ever seen. Because I was
Well,
starting to think, is that meant to be part of the movie?
Maybe it was.
That's funny, but that also reminds me in my Year 12 Media Studies class.
yeah.
The class was studying a Blade Runner, and we were watching it in class on TV. And then suddenly it cut into some, let's say, pornographic material, and the teacher had to very quickly run up to stop
brilliant.
it. And to this day, I have no idea whether or not that was called by a student or by the teacher. And it's very funny.
That is
happened.
awesome. Maybe some homemade stuff. Oh yeah. Which teacher was it? Do you remember the name?
No,
No, let's not dox
next
the
segment.
teacher.
Next segment.
All right, let's jump into it. It's something I'm excited to talk about.